He clenched his hands around the bouquet, crushing it between them. He felt betrayed and he was deeply hurt with this behavior of yours. He looked at you for the last time and made his way out of your mansion gates. The next day at school, you were walking victoriously thinking about the punishment you gave Jimin last day. Pushing your glasses higher up on your nose bridge, you walked towards your class. You had planned it today that you will give Jimin a good lesson on the importance of studies. You settled yourself down on your chair looking at Jimin's, which was 2 seats behind yours. Soon, Jimin walked into the class. You smirked, looking at his figure, who just walked past you to place the bag on his chair. Surprising. He didn't wish you, nor did he ask you about the last day. He simply just walked out of the class after setting up the bag on his chair. What a guy. He doesn't really care about his marks. You made an annoyed face as the class started some time later and Jimin joined the class too. There was a study session later that day. You had already given the set plan to him last weekend itself. So, after the class, you packed your bag and moved to the library, expecting him to reach there. Why-in? You heard a voice from behind. It was none other than your class teacher who assigned Jimin to you. You bowed to the teacher respectfully. Could you come to my office right now? You nodded to her and followed her to her office quietly. Soon, you both settled on opposite chairs. Did something happen between you and Jimin? He has asked me to discontinue the study sessions, she said. No, miss. But Jimin is so unserious about his studies. He comes late to the study sessions and leaves early. He's so irresponsible about the school, and I'm sure that he's failing the exams because of this. You spoke without any filter, to which the teacher sighed. Why-in, Jimin has a lot of things going on in his family. Why does he have so much that he can't even focus on his studies? He's just a student. How about you ask him? You left the cabin in search of Jimin. What was so special about his life? You saw him walking towards the locker to get his stuff before leaving the school premise. Running to his figure, you called his name, startling him. Why did you ask the teacher to cancel the tutoring sessions? You saw how his eyes were not soft seeing you in front of him. He had some kind of anger. Why do you bother about something that you never cared about? I never cared about? You're asking me? You should be grateful that I even spend my precious time for you. Somebody who doesn't care about the studies and plays around. You're clearly failing your exams, Jimin, and you don't give a damn about it. What is going on so much in your life that you are ditching the most important things in your life? You let out all the harsh words at the boy who was about to walk away from you. Hearing your piercing words, he turned around to face you in anger. Because this is not the most important thing in my life, Wyan. Not everyone has a peaceful life like yours, where the parents are providing everything and all you have to do is study. Other people have things going on in their life which they cannot control. Really? What is so special about your life, big boy? Everyone has struggles, and we overcome them. We don't sleep on our education. If this is what you know about life, then you haven't seen life. I don't have to prove anything to you, but I'm letting you know that I'm not leaving the school straight, going back to my house to do homework and chill watching TV. With that, he walked out of the scene, making you astonished by the way he talked to you. He had never talked to you like this before. He would usually be low-toned, happy. You surely pissed him off. 3 hours later. You were in the store quite unusually since you ran out of your stationery. You were looking for the items when you heard a familiar name being called. I'm sorry, Jimin, but I hope this will help you a little. This is all I can do right now. You looked through the gaps of the shelves to see the shopkeeper and Jimin. So, this is what he was up to, earning a little extra money. You moved closer to hear more of the conversation as you were curious. I'm very thankful to you, Mr. Johnson. I will do extra hours. No, son. You're already working a lot. I cannot see a young guy go through so much pain. It is not much, but it will satisfy the medical needs for now. Medical needs? Of whom? So how long is she going to be on that medicine? The shopkeeper inquired again. As long as she doesn't get that surgery. The older man sighed. The bills are very high. Is there any other way we can do something? I cannot see your mother suffer like this. She is a good friend of mine. I have applied for medical loans, but getting them approved is tough. It would have been easy with the help of a lawyer. Where do poor people like me have access to go through such extensive machinery? You silently listened to them talk. Your heart melted listening to them. Unlike your expectations, he was not working for some extra cash. You were guilty of stabbing him with harsh words. You walked out of the store paying for the item you bought. You wanted to help him. That guilt you felt from treating him this bad all these days was eating you up now. The next day at school, you had your first class and were moving to the other department for your optional subject when you heard some voice from the corridors. You knew who this voice belonged to, but never cared. But a name caught your attention: Jimin. You heard the name being called. You shook your head, thinking if you had lost your mind over sympathy, but decided to look into that direction anyway. Your eyes met with a group of school bullies who were pushing around a guy. It was their usual drama. Loser, you will get kicked out of the school. People like you shouldn't be here in the school if you are only going to be scolded by the principal. How did you even get into this school if you can't even pay the fees, Jimin? You quickly stopped on your tracks when you heard the name. You were not hallucinating. You turned around once again to look at them, and it was him. You didn't think twice before walking towards the gang. I see that you have raised the standards and started bullying peaceful kids now. Pushing away one of the huge boy with your palm, you made space between the group and Jimin, standing in between them. Wayan, stay away from our business. The tallest one came forward. How about you step away from others' business peacefully, so that you won't have to step into a juvenile court for bullying and harassment? Their eyes widened when you said that. What proof do you have against us? One of the bravest questions, to which you smirked and stepped forward, pointing at one of the corners of the building. The group followed your fingers just to see the camera placed on the roof. Do you think that it is kept there for decoration? Section 256 Juvenile Justice Code. Harassment and mental torture of a peer, punishable for 1 year. Section 302 of Criminal Proceedings. Verbal abuse and abusing student's family. Jail term 2 years. Once you get in there is no good comeback. You tapped your chin with your fingers as if thinking. Though you were just randomly using some terms and sections for the effect, it worked. The group of bullies walked back, dispersing into their classes. You turned back to look at Jimin, who was now looking at you. You gave a smile which he did not reciprocate. Jimin, you just wanted to talk things out with him and let him know that you will help him with his studies according to his schedules. But you were soon disappointed by what he said. You didn't have to do all of this. Can't you be a little thankful? You got irritated by the fact that you just helped him and he was still being childish. You want me to be thankful to you? Sure. Thank you, Wayan, for your kind help. Is that enough? Are you mocking me? Your eyebrows crashed at his behavior. He walked to his locker to get his things out. Listen, Wayan, stop following me around and don't act like you care. Why do you want to suddenly help me today? All this time you were scolding me and ridiculing me. I'm sorry, I just didn't know the reason behind you getting late. What reason? That your mother is in hospital? So, you somehow got to know that. Listen, you can pack all those sympathies you are feeling for me right now and go mind your own business. He closed the zip of his bag and hung it over his shoulder before turning around. I can't believe that I'm trying to help you and you are acting like this. If you have a financial crisis, then you should accept help rather than to act tough and managerial. Maybe this is why you are struggling in life. This time, he looked straight into your eyes. You had the feeling in your bones that you have once again gone too far with your words. How rude can you be, Wayan? Ask for help from whom? From people like you, who have never seen poverty and known what life is? One who lives and is elevated by the prestige and position that your parents made? Who are you to talk to me even? I work to make two ends meet. And you who prides over your mother's shares in the school are giving me life lessons? I used to like you, but I am glad that I have realized that you are nothing but a balloon inflated by pride and arrogance. Your eyes widened and stuck to his back as he disappeared into the distant corridors of the school building. That night was a long night for you. The one night where peace didn't try to find you. It felt for the first time how strong words could be. They don't hurt you physically, but the wounds they create never heals. And the countless times you have wounded your parents, peers, and Jimin. 1 week later, at the store where Jimin works. Jimin was diligently doing his job when his boss came to him, catching his attention. Jimin, we have a new employee at the store. I hope you will help her around. Jimin looked up only to see Wyan there. He quickly averted his eyes to see the other person, the new employee. Where are you looking at? This is Wyan. She is your new colleague. The boss patted Jimin's shoulder before walking away. Why are you here, Wyan? He harshly bombarded the question on you. I'm here to work, part-time. What must have happened in your life that you're wasting your precious time here other than studying? He mocked while checking the balance sheet of the day with a visible smile on his lips. I'm here to work, Jimin. I'm not here to disturb you, you revealed. Yeah, whatever, he exclaimed. Aren't you going to assign me my section of the job? He sighed, looking at the ceiling of the building before motioning you to the area of work. You silently followed him. Over the month, you both spent time together in the store after school. After his shift at the store, he would leave for another job. During these months, though he was not very communicating, you started seeing his good sides. He was a hard-working guy, which broke every notion you had of him. In these weeks, you slowly started reintroducing the teaching sessions. You were not going to let Jimin fail at the education system because he had a tougher life than most others. You would bring notes to the work and place it on his counter. Sometimes you would read them out during free time. Though Jimin acted like he didn't listen, you knew that he was attentive. 3 months later, you were in the school helping Jimin with his homework before you both went to work. In the last 3 months, you had grown so much mature, which Jimin noticed. You were more patient with him and empathetic to people's issues. He slowly started opening up to you again. But suddenly, you both were interrupted by a phone call. It was a call from your boss. Hello, Mr. Johnson? Jimin received the call. Jimin, can you come to the hospital? Don't panic, but make sure that you reach here soon, the voice from the other side said. Jimin quickly cut the call and stood up from the chair. What happened? You got up with him, confused. I need to go to the hospital where my mother is admitted. He panicked a little and started getting out of the class. You quickly packed both your stuff and ran behind him. You soon caught up with him. Waving hands to stop a taxi, you pushed Jimin into the taxi with you and gave the driver the location. You both soon reached the hospital and to the reception. You followed along with Jimin through the corridors, soon reaching a room where you saw Mr. Johnson talking to a doctor. How is my mother? What happened, Mr. Johnson? Jimin gained the attention of the two older men. Your mother's condition will worsen if we do not get her into a specialty hospital and proceed with that surgery. Mr. Johnson revealed the news. Jimin sat down on the steel chair defeatedly, placing his head on his palms. Then why don't we proceed and take her to another hospital? You stepped in to ask the doctor. The surgery has high cost. Big hospitals won't take such cases if payments are not made. The doctor explained. What can we do, doctor? She is a human as everyone else. We are applying for government assistance, but that will take time. Can't we make a reference? Mr. Johnson started negotiating with the doctor, who looked more or less disappointed at this point. You looked back at Jimin, who had now a bunch of his hair clutched into his fist. In that room was his sick mother, for whose health he was working day and night, but the misery didn't want to leave him in peace. You picked up your phone and dialed the topmost number on your contact. The nurses pushed the bed through the long halls as support materials and equipments were being dragged along. Jimin, Mr. Johnson, you and your parents were following them at the same pace. Soon they placed her in the ambulance to transfer her into a multi-specialty hospital. You saw Jimin get into the ambulance. As much as you wanted to accompany him in the same vehicle, there was a limited space. So you and your parents drove behind the hospital vehicle. Soon, Jimin's mother was in the operation theater. Just one phone call was enough, and this time you made the phone call for the purpose that will benefit someone who has now become dear to you. A few hours before, you called your mother and told her everything. Your parents handled the rest of the issue from there, and within no time, you all were sitting outside the operation theater. You sat next to Jimin, who was way more calmer than before. He had his eyes closed and was probably praying. You lightly held his hands, which were cold and a little shaky. All of you waited for a positive outcome. 6 months later. You adjusted the black coat you were wearing as you were keenly looking at the stage where the principal and chief guest were presenting the graduation certificates. You were proudly holding yours, but you were waiting for his name to be called. Soon you saw him entering the stage. He smiled at the school photographer. Your parents were there too, who were clicking his pictures. He moved his eyes to meet with yours. You had a proud smile plastered over your face. He accepted the certificate and exited the stage, walking to you. You exhaled a deep breath of relief as he reached you. We finally made it. You held your hand forward to earn a solid handshake and a lovely smile from him. We did. He side-hugged you, which took you by surprise. I saw that my mom was taking a video. She must have already sent it to your mom. You pointed towards your mother, who was now looking into the phone doing something. After her surgery, Jimin's mother recovered a lot. Though she was taking bed rest and couldn't come to the ceremony physically, your parents were live updating her on the events. You looked at Jimin, who looked brighter than ever. Soon, he felt your stare and looked back at you. Something clicked in his head. You told me that you wanted to say something to me in the morning. What is it? He asked while you got a little shy. I just wanted to say that, you stuttered while not being able to maintain the eye contact with him. Just say it, Brian. I've never seen you act like this. What is it? He laughed, seeing you rub your arms. I love you. You finally let your feelings out. You were completely sweaty by saying that much out loud. You didn't know if he would accept your love. To your surprise, Jimin engulfed you in a hug. Jimin, I am serious, but if you don't like me... I didn't say that I don't like you. I love you, in fact. You regained my trust and love over these months, and I'm glad that those feelings never truly left me in the first place. He spoke in pure happiness. You hugged him back, reciprocating the same happiness he held. This new relationship and beginning will be saved in your mom's phone as she took both your picture. The picture would be a little bit blurry and off-angled though.